Can Juventus make it 3 out of 3 in the Champions League? Can they keep up their 100% win record against a team some people might regard them as the next big thing out of Germany? Juventus versus Stuttgart, tactical breakdown. Now, if you're new, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to hit the like. Make sure to let me know what you think in the comments. Let's get into it. Now, it's only right to familiarize ourselves with the guests. Stuttgart, most importantly, Sebastian Hoeneß Stuttgart. What do they stand for? What is their style of play? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What are the areas of their game that Thiago Motta and Juventus can target to secure the 3 points? Let's get into it. This is a team that averages 58.7% of the ball. So it tells you they're smooth, they're tidy, they're good at retaining possession. Secondly, they've created the most big chances in the German division this year in 28. They are efficient, but most importantly, they are effective in the final third. Number 3, they're ranked 4th for possession won in the opposition half. So it tells you their press is structured. They press as a team. They look to win the ball higher up the field. And the 4th and most important one, and this is very important in the Champions League, they've scored the most goals from set pieces in the German division. So Juventus, they have to be cautious when it comes to free kicks and corners. But the $1 million question is, how has Sebastian Hoeneß transformed this team? How can Stuttgart impose themselves? What is their setup? But most importantly, what is their structure on and off the ball? On the ball, it's a 2-4 shape. It's a 2-4 build-up structure. We're talking the centre half split. One to the left, one to the right. The goalkeeper occupies the space in the centre from what you can see. That way, the goalkeeper has a passing angle to his left, to his right. The centre-back split to split the opposition. When you split the opposition, as you can see from the photo, there will always be a pass down the middle, down the centre, into a midfielder that can now take the ball on the half turn and progress it higher up the field. As you get higher up the field, you can clearly see the shape becomes a 2-4-1-3. The fullbacks push higher up into midfield to create a row of 4. So the second question is, where is the magic? Where is the magic in the 2-4-1-3? Where have Stuttgart this season had the most joy, had the most fun, and most importantly, looked the most dominant? The joy in the 2-4-1-3 is the trio in the centre. Now in the 2-4-1-3, you've got 2 midfielders with a number 10, an attacking midfielder just ahead of them. With Stuttgart, it's Deniz Undav. That trio is where the magic happens, because that is the area of the field that they target the opposition. That is the area of the field that they will try and drag Juventus into. If they drag Juventus into that centre, where Stuttgart have got that numerical advantage by having 3 players in a triangle where they can pass the ball around one another, as soon as they drag Juventus into that area, they go long into the channels from what you can see. So in summary, they drag the opposition into the centre. Once they've dragged the opposition into the centre, they launch the ball either out to the left or to the right. That way they have their wingers 1v1 in isolation. Final question is, how do Stuttgart set up off the ball? It's a 5-3-2. It's your typical 5-3-2. But it's a 5-3-2 Juventus can target. It's a 5-3-2 Juventus can get a lot of joy out of. And don't get me wrong, it's compact. It condenses the space. It suffocates the opposition. Once Stuttgart are back in their defensive shape, they're hard to break down. But there is one area in this 5-3-2 that Juventus can target, because every team has targeted it and they've had a lot of joy. Let me break it down for you guys. In order for this 2-4-1-3 setup on the ball to become a 5-3-2, it requires a lot of players to rotate positions. Let me explain. The 2-4-1-3, in order for it to become a 5-3-2, one of the midfielders in the 2-4 is now required to drop deep and play as a centre half. The fullbacks that pushed high are now supposed to drop deeper to create that row of 5. The 2 wingers in the 2-4-1-3, so 2 of the wingers in the 3 in attack, are now required to drop deeper but inwards, because now they're required to create that 3 in the 5-3-2. So you're now asking players to go from playing out wide to having to play into midfield. You're now asking a midfielder to have to now drop into a back 3 and play as a defender. All of these things, they take 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds. If you catch Stuttgart on the transition, the channels are always open. If you catch them on the transition and they haven't had the time to get back into their defensive shape, it means they will have to defend in a 2-4-1-3 shape. That is where the magic is. That is where the money is. That is where Thiago Motta has to target. As soon as Juventus retrieve the ball, go into the channels. Because Stuttgart have to defend in a 2-4-1-3. What does that mean? It means Juventus's wide players will either have the ball 1v1 in isolation, or they'll just have the ball down the channel alone with all the time and all the space. You can see from the photo, Bayern Munich targeted the channels. Look, the player on the right is completely unmarked, open. The player on the left, completely unmarked, completely open. Kenan Yildiz, Conceição, Cambiasso, whoever it is that starts. The channels are where the money's at. The channels are where the 3 points are at. And finally, how should Juventus set up? It's the 4-2-3-1, but there's a few players that I feel like their position should be tweaked. And there's a few players that I feel like should start the game. Number 1, Fagioli. The cameo against Lazio. Juventus would not have gone on to win that game if it wasn't for Fagioli. He was the tempo changer. He was the game changer. He brought that flair, that dynamism, that running power in central areas. Fagioli must start. Number 2, Cambiasso. I understand he's a fullback, but I would still deploy him higher up the field because he provides that X factor out wide with his crossing ability. But the third player that I feel like he's where the money is at, Kenan Yildiz in the number 10, because he's not your usual, he's not your typical number 10. He's the most dynamic number 10 I've ever seen. Usually number 10s, they're orchestrators. They pass and go, pass and go. They just bring everybody into the game. Kenan in the number 10, he takes the game to the opposition himself. Because he's a number 10 that's dynamic. He's a number 10 that has the running power. He has the speed. He has the acceleration. But on top of all of that, he has the technical ability to create space for himself and for his teammates. And on top of everything, he's a very selfless player. Kenan in the 10 is where Juventus will get a lot of joy. And Kenan in the 10 will force Stuttgart to play a bit more central because they would need to occupy him. If they try and occupy Kenan in the 10, guess what? It means the channels now become open. Getting the ball to a Cambiasso with time and space out wide is cash money. Because like I said, his deliveries are on point. Conceição back in the team. He also brings that dynamism. A player that always wants to pick up the ball and take on his man. It's a Juve team that's going to be based around energy, dynamism, running power. Players that want to impose themselves and take the game to the opposition. But having said all of that, I predict Juve to win this game 3-1. Now, if you're new, make sure to subscribe, make sure to hit the like, make sure to let me know what you think in the comments. And I'll catch you guys on another one.